Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Club Grayskull Hordak. And Club Grayskull, of course, is the Filmation lineup. This is our line of action figures that is based specifically on Filmation's He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. They're still using the Club Grayskull name, even though there's no actual club subscription anymore, so I know that could be a little confusing, and I've had a lot of people asking me that. So for all intents and purposes, this is the Filmation lineup. So, the figures are still going to come in this very cool Castle Grayskull style packaging. The back has got He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon logo on there with a cool spacey theme. Super 7 logo down here in the bottom. And this is a really cool slipcover that you can pull right off of this little window box within. So look at that. I love that. Very cool packaging design for these guys. Of course, we've seen this in the past. Nice big open window though that fully showcases the figure and all of his accessories within. You can see I love the windows on the top there for the eyes and the nose of Castle Grayskull, as well as on the sides for the towers. All of that is windows into the packaging there, so really nice presentation. I think that looks very cool on these. And when you flip that around to the backside, we've got this great image of Hordak as he appeared in the classic cartoon series with the Fright Zone behind him, and we even have a little bit of a bio for Hordak right there on the bottom. So, very cool, and this is a long time needed action figure for the line, so let's open this packaging up and take a closer look at it. Alrighty, let's take a closer look at this beautiful Filmation version of the mighty Hordak. So, first thing right out of the box, man, yes, this guy does a great job of capturing that iconic look of the character straight out of the animated series. We have actually had several versions of Hordak in the Masters of the Universe Classics line so far, and all of them were much more based on that original toy, which is really cool. One of them kind of gave us a look at a Filmation Hordak, but this right here truly captures it, and we'll get a better look at that later on for comparison time, but let's start right here by looking at the overall details of this figure. The face sculpt is wonderful, really does a great job of capturing that animated look. The white on here is very, very bright. In fact, it actually looks like the paint might be a little thick on there because it almost totally washes out all the details on the face, especially under my lights here, and I know I've got a white background, so that really doesn't help things very much, but you can just see it's such a bright white. Maybe if the paint wasn't quite as thick, we can get some more of those details, because there's definitely some nice sculpted lines under the eyes and on the chin there, but otherwise, I do like this much more animated looking face sculpt. And of course, we got that nice blue mohawk on there. Now, the paint isn't too bad, but you can see there is a little bit of white kind of coming up onto that that blue mohawk there. You can see it. Could be a little cleaner, but overall, still a really nice head sculpt. He does have a brand new little collar here that is much more representative of what we saw in the animated series with much more pronounced bone sculpts. I will say all of the gray paint on this particular figure, specifically seen on the bones, is very glossy. You can actually see how shiny that is underneath the lights there. And then his torso here, what's really good about this is this appears to actually be the sculpt of the torso. So instead of having the big bulky armor kind of over the standard muscular buck that most of the Masters of the Universe Classics figure has, this guy is straight sculpted with the design of his torso, which actually makes the figure overall look a lot leaner than previous versions of Hordak, and I actually like that quite a bit on this guy. The red is nice and bright amongst the black. Again, I got a little bit of unclean painted lines here on the bat emblem, but overall this guy is looking pretty good. I do love the deep blue that's used, and even though he's kind of an animated figure and these guys usually have less details going on, they're a lot cleaner, there's still a little bit of wash going on in there. You can really see some blacks kind of mixed in with the blue, and I do actually like that quite a bit. So you can see a lot smoother on the belt, a lot less details because they're going for that animated look. And that brings us down to the feet, which are new on this guy. Again, to kind of capture the more flat and more kind of squared off feet seen in the animated series. So all in all, I do really like the look of this guy. I think he is finally the Filmation Hordak that a lot of folks have wanted to see for a very long time here. So before we move along to his accessories, let's go ahead and look at articulation on this guy. He does have that standard ball jointed head, so it should be able to look kind of around side to side. It doesn't go up and down too much. You can see it's hindered just a little bit. It slightly moves up and down, moves left and right better. A little loose actually moving left and right. The collar here is made of a very soft, pliable plastic, but that's good because you can see it doesn't really hinder the movement of the head at all. Could probably move up and down just a little bit better, I think, would be nicer. We do have the nice ball-like joints at the shoulders, so your arms can go forwards, backwards, side to side. You can swivel at the bicep. You got the nice joints at the elbow that have that good little ratchet there, so they're good and tight. We got the swivels at the wrist, and like all the other Filmation figures, we have the hinge joints at the wrist. I like that quite a bit. Since the sculpt of the torso is fully that armor there is no torso joint there, but we can still swivel them at the waist. He does have those ball joints at the thighs, so the legs can go outwards, forwards, backwards. We can swivel at the thighs as well. Really tight knee joints on this guy, which I really appreciate. You can also swivel at the boots, and then the ankles have that really nice ability to move forwards and backwards, as well as rock side to side. They're a little loose, but not too bad, not to where it's keeping him from standing up. And because of, he's got those really, really funky feet, but having the ability to rock the ankle side to side absolutely helps with this guy for being able to stand him up and pose him properly. So all in all, I appreciate the articulation on this figure. And we're going to get into the accessories now, and the first thing is an interchangeable arm, which is a absolute must-have for a Filmation version of Hordak, because in that series he was known to constantly change his shape, especially his arms, to turn them into cannons, which is exactly what we have here, an interchangeable arm cannon. So check this out. You can pull the arm right out of socket. You can see it just pops out. You got to give it a good amount of pressure to pop it out of socket there, but it just pulls right out. And in its place, we can plug in this nice arm cannon. And it plugs in really nicely. It actually pops into place. So it really feels like it's holding on tight. It's good and snug. And now we've got this arm cannon here. Now, I do have some blue paint where it's not quite as thick as it probably should be. You can see it's kind of light. I got some spots where the undercolor of the plastic is kind of shining through. But I do like the overall sculpt. It's kind of short and stubby, but that's the way it always kind of looked in the animated series. And definitely when you get it out, so it looks like he's kind of firing a blast or getting ready to fire forward, I do like that pose quite a bit. Definitely could use a little bit of a better paint deco on this, but still, it's an accessory that I really am glad that they included on this particular figure. Now, of course, you can't have a Filmation Hordak without his little sidekick being Imp. Now, Imp has been released before, but there are some differences with this one here. So I'm going to go ahead and do this right off the bat for a little bit of Imp comparison time. So if I bring in the version that was previously released from Mattel, you can see that the sculpts, I don't think that they're different, but they definitely came out of the mold a little bit different. The original one from Mattel's got a much fatter face. The new one from Super 7 looks a little skinnier and actually looks a little bit better, I think. And you can see the paint deco is also different. Now, the Horde logo on the chest on mine has got a little bit too much red globbed on there. It's way out of the lines. But you can also see that the colors are a little bit more vibrant on this new version as well. One of the other differences is that the Mattel Imp had articulated arms along with the articulated head. You can move the arms up and down. You can move the head side to side on this new one from Super 7, but the arms appear to be glued in place. These do not move at all. Also, in addition to this regular version of Imp, we get Imp as a treasure chest. Now, this is kind of special because the treasure chest version of Imp was offered previously from Mattel, but it was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. It was Polybag. Now, if you missed out on that, this is a great way to get it, but if you have the San Diego version, it's worth noting that your San Diego version is different. Looking at these guys side by side, you can see not only is the color different, but the San Diego version had the ability to open up and work as an actual chest. So it's got this little hinge joint on the side. This version from Super 7 is just a solid sculpt. There is no working opening chest mechanism there. So that is something that makes this different. And actually, I appreciate that they made this different because the other version was exclusive to San Diego Comic-Con. So still pretty cool. Still gives you a chance to own that sculpt if it's not something you already had in your collection. So while we're talking about comparison time, let's do a little bit of Hordak comparison time. We're going to go ahead and stand this guy alongside Mattel's attempt at a Filmation Hordak, where basically they just repainted that version of Hordak they already had with the Filmation colors. They did give it a different robotic arm, and while it was cool, you can see where this version of Hordak definitely does a much better job of capturing the likeness of the animated series. And while we're at it, why don't we go ahead and throw him alongside that original release of Hordak, which came out almost 10 years ago. That's amazing that it's been almost a decade since we got that first version of Hordak all the way to this new Filmation version of Hordak. So there you go, my friends. There is a look at the brand new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Club Grayskull, or Filmation version of Hordak. I've got a few paint gripes with this guy, but aside from that, I really like him. I think he's a great sculpt. I love getting Hordak as he appeared in the animated series, so he's definitely one of my favorites of the Filmation line so far. So this guy was offered pre-order only through Super7Store.com. This is the only way that Super 7 is now offering these figures, so if you missed out on the pre-order, unfortunately, your only way of obtaining this guy at this point is on the aftermarket. Hey guys, thank you so very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, leave me a comment down below, let me know what you think of this figure, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on any of my Masters of the Universe videos. Until next time, my friends.